in New York in July 1971, July 22nd, 1971. Exactly 3 months to the day from when I moved into a temple. So now it's May 1972. So now I've been in a temple for a year. Myself, Kaladri, and Kirtanananda Swami, Prabhupada told Kirtanananda to come to LA. He wanted to speak with him. So the three of us did the driving across country. It was 2,500 miles, which is something like 4,000 kilometers. Yeah, that's what it is. It was a long drive. And because I was with Kirtanananda Swami, who was one of the very first disciples, first sannyasi, first initiated devotee, I was getting special treatment just by being next to him. That's what happens. We see that. Prabhupada would always say, if you're the servant of the king. And that's what I was. I was servant of the king, and I was eating what he was eating because I was next to him. So it just, that's how things happen. So I got to be on the morning walks. Even though I was not a book distributor, I was a nothing. I was a farmhand in New Vrindavan. But I'm on the morning walks because I'm with Kirtanananda, and I get to be. No one could question him. And I also got to go in the garden in the afternoon. Prabhupada's garden in Los Angeles, which was, up to about here, this room. 6-foot high walls, and filled. Los Angeles, there were banana trees. Bananas never grew on them, but the climate was well enough. So it was very pretty. It had, of course, many flowers, roses and gardenias, but a lot of tulsi plants. And he said, this is my favorite place in the whole world, because he was just surrounded by tulsi. He could sit there and chant. But I was allowed in there in the afternoon. This went on for 5 or 6 days while we remained in Los Angeles. And from the first day I went in, I was told, you're going to read Krishna book when he asks. So now this is my first, other than getting a first initiation, which I didn't get any intimate association, just at the Vyasa-san. This is the first time I'm actually with him in this very personal situations. And Karundar says to me, he was the GBC in LA, very advanced, very grave devotee. And this is what, there was a lot of gravity that I sensed at the Kirtanananda Swami. He was very serious, very, give orders all the time. It's a lot of potency. So most devotees, we hardly slept. More than 6 hours meant you were in Maya. And you had very little facility to do it because there was just so much to do. So, but me, you might be able to see, I have a very, Prabhupada said I'm easygoing. Once it was suggested I become temple president in Hawaii by his secretary when the president had gone away. Prabhupada just smiled. I had been with him for 2 years, so he knew me very well. He says, Srutakirti is too easygoing. Manager can't be easygoing. Well, what do we say? Easygoing is all you're going to do easily is slide to hell. Krishna consciousness, we say, that's why we say simple living, high thinking. We don't say easy living. It's not easy, it's simple. It means we live very simply. It was very nice to go into the guest quarters here, sannyasi quarters, because it actually looks like a sannyasi quarters. It's very simple, nice little bit, everything, just what you need to do your service. This is what Prabhupada did. He traveled around the world, and basically that's what he lived like in that room there. Might be a bigger room, but same little bed. He sat on the floor on a straw mat and ate facing the wall by himself. He would just stay in his room and chant. He brought Vrindavan everywhere. He sat on the cushion. He had a little desk in front of him. Everywhere was the same. And he never said, I need table, chairs, a sofa to lie back on, easy chair. No, it was never his interest. But anyway, he said, I later became temple president in Hawaii 6 months later, and Prabhupada said it was very good. He told Guru Kripa, the GBC, he said, you can trust Srutakirti. He said, I've trained him, so he'll know what to do. And I did know what to do. Doing it was difficult because of my easygoing nature. I had a business for 20 years. I had a dozen employees. Over 20 years, I fired one person because I just couldn't fire anyone. See? So you can't be like that and be a manager. You've got to be a little bit tough. One person, and he was a crack addict. You know, cocaine, crack. He was an addict, like heroin addict, and he was doing it in the shop. So I had to fire him. So now it's I'm seeing Prabhupada for the first times on the morning walk in the garden, and I wasn't making any endeavor to even pay attention, but I've always been a person that observes things. I like to watch people. I like to see situations. I see things like the clock there. It says 10 to 12. I know it's not 10 to 12. So I'll no, well, my point, I was sitting next to a person on the plane coming here. Not coming here, one of the flights. It was just an hour flight. Not next, there was a seat between. It was a lady, young lady. She was a pretty lady. And I waited the whole trip, and before she got off, I finally said to her, "Are you Ukrainian?" You should have seen the look on her face. She said, "Yes." She said, "How do you know?" She said, because she was a very striking person, they say, "Are you Russian? Are you Polish?" She said, "How do you know I'm Ukrainian?" She said, "It's so nice to hear someone say that." So anyway, my point is I observe things and I learn things. So now I'm sitting here with a Krishna book and watching Prabhupada. He would sit in the garden. It was beautiful. 5 suns getting ready to go down. The weather's perfect. The temperature, everything's nice. And I'm going to read Krishna book, which is what I had been doing in New Vrindavan, reading Krishna book every day during lunch while everyone ate prasadam. So it was the same thing. So Prabhupada would sit, sometimes he would chant, ask questions, and then he would, that was it. I'm already seeing. That means read. Very simple. I have the Krishna book, he knows it. There's no introduction, but he sees me with the Krishna book and he just go, okay, time to read. So I don't even remember what story it was that day, but I'm reading from Krishna book. And in it, Krishna's killing a demon. And as I'm reading, and I'm just reading, and there's half a dozen devotees, very young, we're sitting there, we're all listening, and Prabhupada's sitting with us listening to Krishna book. He'd love to hear it. I found it so amazing. Over and over I would go in his room and in the afternoon and see him reading his books. It was rather perplexing because I thought, well, he wrote these, but he's reading them again and again, and he didn't have a pencil and pad like he was doing editing work, like that. No, he was relishing. And when I was reading to him, I didn't know it, but he was relishing. He was right there. So all of a sudden I just came to the point where Krishna just killed this demon. And I'm just speaking, and Prabhupada starts laughing and laughing, and his whole body would shake, and he's slapping his leg, and tears are coming down his eyes because he's laughing so much. Just from reading. This is where we want to be. And that's what I thought when I saw it. That's what I want. All this other is all like just, everything. Before I came to the temple, I was raised, I'm an Italian Catholic boy from Italian area in the city of Philadelphia. I went to an Irish Catholic school. They made me an altar boy. By the time I was in college, I had no idea what I was doing. I had a scholarship in college. I had a very simple, easy life, but I became, at the age of 19, everything fell apart. I was miserable. And I started praying because I was raised Catholic. I figured God was there somewhere. Didn't know who he was, didn't see him. In the catechism, there was a picture of his face sitting on a chair, but there was no face. So that's all we knew about God. We knew we were made in his image and likeness. All these things were there, but there was no substance to that philosophy. There was no explanation. And that's what I wanted. But I didn't just want to know God philosophically. I wanted to feel God. See, I wanted to feel the Holy Spirit, as we thought in Catholicism. I had the Holy Spirit. So I started going to, what do you call them, born again Christian, Pentecostal revivals, things like that, because they would chant and dance and talk in tongues. I've been to some, I mean, you see these people and you think, they're definitely possessed by something, But if it's the Holy Spirit, I thought, that's what I want. I want to know God. I want to feel Him. I want to enjoy with Him. That was what I wanted. I don't know why, but it got to the point where I would literally go to bed at night in tears, praying. If you're there, you've got to do something. So finally, I met the devotees. From the very first, that was it. I had questions, they had answers. I joined that fast because I wanted to experience, and I thought,